Oh, Jim Klauck here with the Phenomenal Business Growth Podcast. I hope everybody is having a phenomenal day. My friend Derek Wright's joining me today. Derek, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing phenomenal. How are you, Jim?
I am doing phenomenal as well. It's so great to have you here on the podcast. You'll
Great
have
to
to
be
help.
here.
Yeah, you'll have to help me out here. We met probably a couple years ago, maybe 18 months ago at a phenomenal conference.
Yeah, it would have been my first conference with Phenomenal would have been last October. So that's as far back as it could have been.
Okay. All right. Well, gosh, my first one was almost 20 years ago. I'm an old goat.
But that's why you're excelling.
Yeah, been around for a while, known Howard for a long time. Something that I really love about you is you have a lot of energy, you have a great personality, and you're very positive. And when I see you at these events, you always come up to me, you shake my hand, you pat me on the back, and you often ask, "Are you speaking today?" Which is kind of nice. And you ask how I'm doing. Do you treat everybody that way?
I try to.
Yeah.
A long time ago, I was taught that we're supposed to treat everybody with respect. And one of the things I really try to do is when I travel, you go into these resorts, you go into these hotels, and you got all the people that are helping you. And these guys are working their butts off for you. And, I try to treat, I don't care if you're a CEO or if you're the garbage man, I'm going to treat you all with the same respect. I'm going to say hi, ask you how your day is, and hopefully even having a drink with you.
Yeah, and that's important. I'm glad you brought that up because we all put our pants on one leg at a time. And the only difference amongst us is the differences we choose to have. And, some people may have more wealth. Some people may have more education. Some people may have a different background, one from another, but we're all human beings. We all deserve to be treated well. And it's refreshing to hear that from you because if everybody had a tenth of what you have inside your heart, I think this would be a better community in our country to live in, don't you?
Man, I appreciate that. You're probably giving me a little more praise than I deserve, but I do appreciate that. I look at it like this, everything in this world is an ecosystem. And we need everybody doing their job and, from top to bottom, because if we were all CEOs, ain't nothing gonna get done, so we need everybody from top to bottom. And so that's why I look at it and like, hey, your job's as much as important as mine, if not more. And so I appreciate what you do, and I want to make sure I show that. And so I appreciate that acknowledgement, Jim.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And it's really true. Sometimes I think of people like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and how much time they sacrificed. And they love what they do, but that's not for me. But they've done such great things that allow me to work easier and better in my personal life and my business life by producing software and hardware. And it's like a sacrifice. And even though they're billionaires, that's fine. They can have that. I know my place. I'm not a billionaire. I'm probably not going to become one. And the reason why I'm pretty sure I won't become one is because I haven't set that goal. And to become a billionaire, you've really got to set that goal generally. And so I understand it doesn't matter what level, whether it's a very high level or a very low level, everyone is needed, even the person who's, sweeping the streets. Those people are important. However, some people will look down on them, won't they?
Oh, absolutely. It's a shame. To me, it's like we want to improve the world overall. And, I look at it as everybody has two hands. And as we climb that ladder of success is what they call it. If we climb the next step and we reach back and help two other people take their next step, no matter, eventually we improve the entire world. We can bring up the bottom by everybody at the top just reaching back. Everybody just reaching back and help the next two people. If every one person helped two people, before you know it, we're changing the world.
I agree. And, Derek, I get frustrated along the same lines. I say to people, if every American just did 1% more positive thing, whether it's work an extra half hour a month to help the GDP, or volunteer a half hour a month more, or spend time with their children or their elderly parents or the nursing home people, whatever it is, it would be a better world. We limit ourselves. We're such a rich society in many ways, financially and with other great benefits we have in the United States of America. But it's amazing to me how we kind of limit ourselves. Don't you agree that we all have a little more in us? And if we did the positive things, we probably wouldn't have money issues in certain neighborhoods. We probably wouldn't have certain health issues, because I know that you're about health and you work out. If we all just did a little more, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. To me, you know, we were created by our God to be kings, and not over people, over this earth. And if we were all just sharing and helping, and as we grow, share, yeah, it could absolutely be a better place. And understand that everybody out there, I don't care what you think about them, they're all children of God, and He loves them all. And we all make choices, and there's consequences with choices, good or bad. You make good choices, you get good consequences. You make poor choices, the consequences follow. And but the beauty part is for me is as you are blessed and as you succeed, look for those ways to help others. Life is four parts. It's your business, it's your body, it's your relationships, and it's your spirituality. And to have that kingdom lifestyle, all four of those have to be at a high level. But it's hard to, because we get out of balance. You get involved in work, you spend too much time at work, you end up causing problems with your relationships, or maybe you spend too much time in your relationships and your business falls apart, or maybe you're doing both and you're not taking care of your body and your health falls apart. So it is a balancing act, and you have to be intentional to make sure that you are hitting all four of those, to make sure that you're bringing them all up. Because the reality is, if you're lacking in one area, it's going to affect the others.
I couldn't agree with you more. And you said intentional. Everything I do in my life is very deliberate. There's no accidents. From my nutrition, diet to exercise, to my education, to my business, to my personal time, my relationships. We talk about the wheel all the time and all those little spokes, all those components. And when we're at a phenomenal conference, it almost always comes up, the wheel. It almost always comes up on the screen, and we sit down there and we fill it out. And then Howard Partridge will ask, does anyone have a flat side of the wheel? Thump, 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 thump. And most of the people in the room have their hand go up. Now, I will say, and I'm not bragging here, but I've been working on my wheel for decades. I've had a thump, 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 but I don't anymore. I won't let that happen. And so if I'm unbalanced in my life, let's say that I'm working too much, I'm conscious and cognizant of that. And luckily in my business, I can pull away a bit and then put that time into my health and spiritual and my family and my other relationships and my diet and all the things that are so important. Because Derek, I know you know this. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others in your business or your personal relationships, correct?
Oh, 100%. It all starts with your body. You got to be, not that that's the ultimate and everything, but like you say, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't be good for anybody else. That's absolutely 100% true.
It's true. So when we go to the phenomenal conferences, the inner circle conferences, everything we've spoken about so far in this podcast, we get at these events. It's a family, it's a community, positive people. Howard Partridge is in charge of the entire clan because it is a clan. It's a group. And he leads everyone well, and he knows everyone personally. He'll come up to us and give us a hug, and he'll connect us with the right people to help us with our businesses and actually our personal lives as well. How has the inner circle helped you in your business and your personal life?
Well, for me, I was looking for systems. I didn't have systems in my business, and Howard is one of those guys that he's really adamant about getting those systems in. Thing about Howard, and the one thing I love about him, is he leads with love.
Yeah.
You know, he does genuinely care about everybody in his community. You know, one of my mentors, Dr. Miles Monroe, said before he passed away, he said he found the key to success. Now, reality, you know, when they're talking about the wheel, there's 9 spokes on that wheel, and Howard will inevitably ask, which one of these wheels are you supposed to fail in? One of these spokes? Well, none of them. You're supposed to be successful in all of them. And my mentor says the key to success is don't chase success. The key to success is to become a person of value, and then success will chase you. So when you become that person of value in each one of those spokes where you're producing value to others, that's how you build up your spokes, and you build it up to the outside, and you start succeeding in every area.
Derek, that is so profound and is so true. A lot of us chase success, but we're not necessarily doing the right things. We kind of put the cart before the horse, maybe.
Right.
Maybe we should be doing things that will attract success. Do you believe in the law of attraction? Do you understand what that is? The law of attraction?
I
The law of,
do.
yeah. So the law of attraction is you put something out and you'll get it back. If you're really negative and everything's a doomsday day, you're going to attract people who are negative. If you hang out with millionaires, you're more likely to become a millionaire. And if you hang out with people on welfare, you're more likely to be on welfare. Hang out with people who are ex-cons, we're more likely to be a con. So it's so important to be doing the right thing, spending time with the right people. That's what I love about the inner circle at Phenomenal Business Coaching. It's such a positive place. I tell people this all the time. I mention this on almost every podcast. It's really like going to church in some ways. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is definitely led by faith. And, you know, even Christ, when he started his mission, his ministry, the very first thing he said after coming out of the water, being baptized by John, he looked at the people and he told them, repent. And repent doesn't mean drag up the past. It means, translation is, change the way you think.
Yeah.
We have to think differently. You know, we got to think, you got to believe. All your actions will follow how you think and how you believe. And if you're 100% correct, if you're hanging around a bunch of negative people, that's going to affect how you think and how you believe. So hanging around better people, you know, like I said, try to get around those people that inspire you, that challenge you, that encourage you, you know, in all aspects of life, not just business, in your physical. Man, don't go to the gym and hang out with the guys that all they want to do is sit by the soda machine. You know, that ain't working out. Go find those guys that are really killing it and ask them what they're doing. Figure out how to do it. You know, same with business. Follow those guys, you know, in your own market. Go find the guys that are killing it and find out what are they doing. We don't have to recreate the wheel anymore. That's the beautiful thing I found out about, you know, getting around better people than I, is most of them are willing to share. I mean, and they're happy to do that because I can compress time this way. It took them 20 years and they'll teach me and I can get it done in a year. So, you know, for me, I'm an older guy. I don't got 20 more years. I need to compress that time. So being around those type of minds and picking at their brains, and man, they're super willing to help you out with the information. But you got to remember that's part of it, is we got to get the knowledge, which is the information, but then we have to understand it, which is the comprehension. And then we have to apply it. That's when wisdom comes, is when you start to apply all that knowledge that now you understand and you put it into practice. And that's when the real wisdom comes to play.
which is why I'm sure you'll agree with me, because we're both over 30 now. Wink, wink. You get to a certain stage in life where you say to yourself, I wish I knew this when I was 25 or 35. And if you're a person who learns from your mistakes and other people's mistakes, and you take all the cumulative data you've learned over the years, you can really excel at this stage of life. And so I can tell that you are growing leaps and bounds now, more so than probably 30 years ago, because I know I am. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I got lost in the whole pleasures of the flesh and pleasures of the world. And, instead of staying my nose to the ground and learning the stuff, sit on my laurels, sit on where I'm at and just go out and have fun, which caused me a lot of problems. Now, if I would have known now, like I say, if I would have known then what I know now, I'd be a lot further along and being able to help a lot more people. So my goal is to, I want to, there's, God tells you, he says, delight in me and I'll give you the desires of your heart. Well, I got two. I want to be great for his kingdom and a good man for my family, the way the Bible describes it. He says a good man will leave an inheritance for his kids and his kids' kids. That's not just money, but that's part of it. It also is, what kind of legacy did you leave? What did you stand for? What did you represent? Are they proud to say, that was my grandpa? Did you leave that type of legacy? And my goal is, whatever time left God's given me on this earth, is to take that to the next level, build that legacy, to leave that behind, leave a business that's self-functioning, helping as many people as possible, to come in and know nothing, but have the right mindset, get them on a path to success so that their families are taken care of, that it can leave a legacy behind that'll ripple through generations.
And I agree. And it doesn't just have to be financial. In many instances, like you touched upon, it's what has that elder left behind. Maybe a grandparent spent time with the children and grandchildren, and taught them some things, and got to know them well, and they have fond memories of their grandparents, and maybe they lead a certain life because of that, if it's a positive influence. Now, if it's a negative one, that's not a good legacy, right? That's a bad legacy. And I think most of us have good intentions, and this is a great message. It's important to, at some point in your life, grow up and say, what is my responsibility to myself and my family today, and the ones that will come after. And I'll tell you something really interesting is, we're doing something right now, Derek, that we couldn't have done a few decades ago. And that is produce this podcast, which will live forever. And one day, someone who you don't even know that's related to you are going to type in your name or their name, and this is going to come up and they're going to see you. And that's cool.
That is cool to think about. I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Going through life, one thing that as far as making a difference and changing, God allows us to make our own choices. That's the free will he gave us. But he also allows us to fail. And he took me to the brink of bankruptcy before I could figure it out, where I only had one left place to turn, and that was go to my knees. And he was waiting there with arms open wide to bring me back like the prodigal son I was, and put me on the path to a future that I wouldn't have had without him. And he was willing to do that for anybody out there when we decide to surrender and realize that away from him we can do nothing, but with him all things are possible. And he took me from the brink of bankruptcy to being financially secure again, and a growing company each year. Then we're growing, and I lead it all, and I give him all the credit, because only but by God do I have that. And so, the one thing I want to make sure that people understand is, God created us to be in business. He gave us a business plan before he gave us a wife. I mean, right out the gate at Genesis, he wouldn't let anything grow on the earth until he had a manager to manage the earth. And he says, be productive, which he said be fruitful, which translates into be productive. He says to to share it, to redo it. It's a business plan in there, and we're supposed to lead that way. We're supposed to help as many people as possible with the as he opens his resources to us, we should be sharing it with those around us, and that's just near to my heart.
I couldn't agree more. Your story almost sounds like Dave Ramsey's story. I'm not sure if you know much about Dave Ramsey's story, but he went bankrupt. And he's a big believer. And he came out of the ruins, and now he's, well, extremely wealthy, and he touches many people and he helps them with their finances. And so he's a great example of what you're talking about.
He is. In fact, he's got a new program out there called Smart Dollar for businesses that you can use as a benefit. I signed up my team up with it. It helps them, gives them a budget, teaches them how to take care of their money, because I can pay somebody no matter what amount, they can still be living paycheck to paycheck. So I want to be a good steward to help them learn, how do I do this correctly so that I always have money, and that's what it's about. We're supposed to be good managers. If you're not a good manager of anything, you'll lose it. If you don't manage your body, you'll lose your health. If you don't manage your finances, you'll go broke. If you don't manage your relationships, you'll lose them. We need to be better managers and stewards of whatever God brings into our world. And when we do that, he rewards that. Just the story of the talents. He gave one guy 5, he turned it into 10, another guy 4, he turned it into 8. The one guy that got 1 was scared, he went and buried it.
Nope.
When the landowner came back, he says, "Are you kidding me? You couldn't even put it in the bank so I can get interest? I'm going to take it from you and give it to the guy who's got 10, which makes sense because he knows what to do with it.
Yes.
He's going to make you some more money." So that's where God says, he said, look, I'm going to give you finances. I'm going to give you opportunities. What are you willing to do with it? Are you willing to manage what you have to begin with? Because I can't trust you with much if you can't manage little. So no matter where people are at, when they understand, I have an opportunity here, I don't have to stay here. It's up to me what I do with the opportunities that are presented. No matter where you're at, what you're making, what your income level is, there's always an opportunity. And when you do the right things with it, and when you trust in God and you put it, when you're willing to give back, he's willing to give more. He says, as you give, I'll return it, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. But you have to have that faith to take that step.
Yeah. This has been such a great message, and I totally agree. Okay, this has been awesome, my friend. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next event, Phenomenal Business Coaching Inner Circle. By the way, people who are watching this, if you have any interest in joining us, there's a link in the description of this podcast, and you can go to the boot camp, and I'm sure Howard would love to have you come visit all of these great people, including Derek.
I'll tell you what,
Inner Circle.
To those who listen, it pays off. First year of being in the Inner Circle, I grew 33%. And I contribute a lot of that to the help I got out of the circle. The people like you, Jim, like other people being around, implementing what I learned. And it just pays off to be around the right people, have the right mindset, and put God first in everything. He says, seek my kingdom first and my righteousness, and I'll take care of all of your needs. So you don't have to go to work to pay your bills. You go to work to make an influence, and God's got the rest.
Yeah. Derek, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me. It meant a lot to me, and I appreciate you. And I've been looking forward to this. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in person, shake your hand again, give you a hug, and ask you how you're doing.